Very good morning, students. Our session of auditing and corporate governance. Now, in the last session, we already completed our point, that is code of ethics and ethical behaviors, along with the ethics of committee. Now, today we are going to start the new point, the important one, that is green governance, or we can say that environmental governance. Nowadays, the green governance plays a vital role in any organization. When we are talking about the ethics, when we are talking about the code of conduct, so at that time the adoption of green governance must be there. And if green governance is adopted in a proper manner, then definitely organization is able to satisfy their organizational and societal goal at the same time. Now, first and foremostly, let's discuss what is green governance. Now, it is already given that green governance refers to the process of decision making involved in the controlled and management of environmental and natural resources. Yes, here organization is going to take the decision that how the management is going to use the environment, how management is going to use the natural resources which is available to us in the limited manner, and what will be the impact of that decision that shows the decision of green governance in a proper manner. So it is a one kind of decision making process in which organization is going to choose that how they are going to apply the concept of natural resources or the use of the natural resources in the organization, and with the help of use of that natural resources in the organization, they are able to satisfy their organizational goal plus their societal goal. Green governance is a systematic life cycle to help an organizational drive towards overall sustainability. Yes, it is not that it is not possible for the organization that is to use each and every resources in a short period of time, because if each and every resources are going to be used, then how organization is going to sustain in a long manner, in a long term. So a proper utilization of natural resources must be there so that the sustainability can be easily achieved, it can be easily maintained by the organization. The life cycle of the organization depends upon the following areas that the organization need to consider at the time of adopting the principles of green governance, that how they are going to use the natural resources in their management, so that a proper utilization of the resources must be there. In that, strategy is there, risk management, compliance management, idea management, and portfolio management. Here, each and every area of management is going to be considered at that time, and through that, the organization is able to achieve their principles of green governance. Now there are few key principles of green governance are given to us, that is embedding the environment in all level of decision making and action. સિમ્પલ લેંગ્વેજમાં આપણે કહીએ કે મેનેજમેન્ટના ઈચ એન્ડ એવરી લેવલના ડિસિઝનમાં આપણે ગ્રીન ગવર્નન્સના કન્સેપ્ટને અડોપ્ટ કરવાનો છે. ગ્રીન ગવર્નન્સનો કન્સેપ્ટ એ છે કે જેના બેઝિસ ઉપર ઓર્ગેનાઇઝેશન નેચરલ રિસોર્સિસનો પ્રોપર મેનરમાં યુટિલાઇઝેશન કરે છે કે જેથી સોસાયટીને હાર્મ નથી થતી, ઓર્ગેનાઇઝેશનને કોઈ હાર્મ નથી થતી અને નિયર ફ્યુચરમાં એ જ નેચરલ રિસોર્સિસનો પ્રોપર મેનરમાં યુટિલાઇઝેશન કરવાથી સસ્ટેનેબિલિટીનો જે કન્સેપ્ટ છે એ આપણે અચીવ કરી શકશું. એટલે ઓર્ગેનાઇઝેશનનું કોઈ પણ ક્રુશિયલ ડિસિઝન હોય કે બહુ કોઈ રૂટીન ડિસિઝન હોય, એ ડિસિઝન લેતી વખતે ઓર્ગેનાઇઝેશનને કોર્પોરેટ ગવર્નન્સમાં ગ્રીન ગવર્નન્સનો જે કન્સેપ્ટ છે એને ઇગ્નોર કરવાનો નથી. Conceptualizing cities and communities, economic and political life as a subset of the environment means they are going to cover each and every external factor which directly affects the working condition of the organization. કંપનીએ કોઈ પણ પોઈન્ટને ઇગ્નોર કરવાનો નથી કે કંપનીના ડિસિઝન લેવાથી બધા એરિયાને ઇફેક્ટ થશે. તો જ્યારે પણ કંપની કોઈ પણ ડિસિઝન લે છે ત્યારે ઇન્ટરનલ પ્લસ એક્સટર્નલ એન્વાયરમેન્ટનું પ્રોપર મેનરમાં એનાલિસિસ કરીને જ ડિસિઝન લેવાનું છે. There are again few challenges that affects the decision of green governance. First one, that is it is inadequate continental and global agreement. First and foremostly કોઈ પણ legal requirement green governance-ની અડોપ્ટ કરેલી નથી. ઓર્ગેનાઇઝેશન પોતાની રીતે ડિસિઝન લે છે. દેર ઇઝ નો એની કાઇન્ડ ઓફ એન્ફોર્સમેન્ટ ટુ ધ ઓર્ગેનાઇઝેશન. કંપનીને કોઈ પણ જાતનું ફોર્સ કરવામાં આવતું નથી. કંપની પોતાના બેઝિસ ઉપર ડિસિઝન લે છે. એટલે ગ્લોબલ આસ્પેક્ટ, કમ્યુનિટી આસ્પેક્ટ, ગ્લોબલ આસ્પેક્ટ મસ્ટ બી ધેર. સપોઝ કોઈ પણ ઓર્ગેનાઇઝેશન ગ્રીન ગવર્નન્સને અડોપ્ટ કરે છે તો ઇમિડિયેટલી વી આર થિંકિંગ દેટ હાઉ ધ અધર ઓર્ગેનાઇઝેશન ઇઝ ગોઈંગ ટુ બી કન્સિડર્ડ ઇન દેટ પર્ટિક્યુલર મેનર. Unresolved tensions between maximum development, sustainable development and maximum production, limited funding, damaging links with the economy and limited application of multilateral environmental agreements. ગ્રીન ગવર્નન્સના અડોપ્શનથી કંપનીનો જે બેઝિક ગોલ છે એ ઇનિશિયલ સ્ટેજમાં અચીવ થતો નથી અને જેનો બેઝિક ગોલ છે દેટ ઇઝ ધ ગોલ ઓફ પ્રોફિટ મેક્સિમાઇઝેશન. ગ્રીન ગવર્નન્સના અડોપ્શનથી ઓર્ગેનાઇઝેશન એન્વાયરમેન્ટને હાર્મફુલ થતી કોઈ પણ એક્ટિવિટી કન્ટિન્યુ કરતા નથી. ઇનફેક્ટ ઓર્ગેનાઇઝેશન એવું ટ્રાય કરશે કે એન્વાયરમેન્ટને પણ હાર્મ ન થાય અને ઓર્ગેનાઇઝેશનનો જે ગોલ છે દેટ ઇઝ ધ ગોલ ઓફ પ્રોફિટ મેક્સિમાઇઝેશન એ પણ ઇઝી મેનરમાં અચીવ થાય. સો આ બંને ગોલને એકસાથે અચીવ કરવા દેટ ઇઝ રિયલી વેરી ડિફિકલ્ટ. એટલે તમારે માર્કેટ શેર પણ અચીવ કરવો છે, તમારે પ્રોફિટ પણ મેક્સિમાઇઝ કરવો છે અને સાથે સાથે તમારે એન્વાયરમેન્ટને હાર્મ પણ નથી પહોંચાડવી. સો ઇટ ઇઝ રિયલી વેરી ડિફિકલ્ટ ફોર ધ ઓર્ગેનાઇઝેશન that is to have a mutual agreement with each and every aspects of the internal factors and the external one. Then after, environmental funding is not self-sustaining, diversifying resources from problem solving into funding battles. ખાલી સસ્ટેનેબિલિટી ઉપર જો ફોકસ કરવામાં આવશે તો ડેફિનેટલી દે આર નોટ એબલ ટુ અચીવ ધેર બેઝિક ગોલ દેટ ઇઝ ધ ગોલ ઓફ પ્રોફિટ મેક્સિમાઇઝેશન. લેક ઓફ ઇન્ટિગ્રિટી ઓફ સિલેક્ટેડ પોલિસીસ. લીગલ પોલિસીમાં એટલી બધી ઇન્ટિગ્રિટી ફેસ થતી નથી અને એ ઇન્ટિગ્રિટીના બેઝિસ ઉપર they are not able to satisfy themselves. Inadequate institutional capacities. Each and every instituteની એટલી બધી કેપેસિટી નથી હોતી that they are able to adopt the point of green governance. જો ગ્રીન ગવર્નન્સના પોઈન્ટને અડોપ્ટ કરશે then they are not able to make or they are not able to achieve a proper profit. So ગ્રીન ગવર્નન્સનું અડોપ્શન છે એ ઈચ એન્ડ એવરી ઓર્ગેનાઇઝેશન માટે, ઈચ એન્ડ એવરી ઇન્સ્ટિટ્યૂટ માટે પોસિબલ નથી, કારણ કે નેચરને પણ હાર્મ ન થાય અને પ્રોફિટ પણ જનરેટ થાય અને એ પણ લોંગ પીરિયડ માટે. દેટ ઇઝ નોટ પોસિબલ ફોર ઈચ એન્ડ એવરી ઓર્ગેનાઇઝેશન ઇન અ પ્રોપર મેનર. હવે જે ઓર્ગેનાઇઝેશન માર્કેટમાં લોંગ ટર્મથી સર્વ કરે છે, જેનો કેપિટલ ગ્રોથ માર્કેટમાં ખૂબ જ હાઈ છે, એ ટાઈપની ઓર્ગેનાઇઝેશન ગ્રીન ગવર્નન્સને અડોપ્ટ કરી શકશે. પણ જે ઓર્ગેનાઇઝેશન માર્કેટમાં હજી ઇન્ટ્રોડક્શનના સ્ટેજ ઉપર છે એ લોકો માટે ગ્રીન ગવર્નન્સનો કન્સેપ્ટ છે એ પ્રોપર મેનરમાં સેટિસ્ફાઈડ થતો નથી. Then after, let's see the different clauses of the listing agreement for the green governance. હવે અહીંયા તમને નંબર્સ ઓફ ક્લોઝીસ આપેલા છે. 17 ક્લોઝીસ આપેલા છે. આ 17 ક્લોઝીસમાં આપણે ઈચ એન્ડ એવરી ક્લોઝ તમને એ એક્સપ્લેન કરે છે કે ડિફરન્ટ એરિયા થ્રુ તમે ગ્રીન ગવર્નન્સના કન્સેપ્ટને કેવી રીતે સેટિસ્ફાઈડ કરી શકો છો. વન બાય વન આપણે એનું ડિસ્કશન કરીએ છીએ. ધ ફર્સ્ટ વન દેટ ઇઝ રાઇટ્સ ઓફ શેર હોલ્ડર્સ એન્ડ રોલ ઓફ સ્ટેક હોલ્ડર્સ. એઝ વી ઓલરેડી નો દેટ ધ શેર હોલ્ડર્સ are the real owner of the organization. If a proper dividend is not paid to our shareholders, then definitely that shareholder will not continue with our organization. And the stakeholders means those parties who directly or indirectly related with our company. That stakeholders also play a major role in the sustainability point of the organization. So when the organization is going to adopt the concept of green governance, at that time the profit sharing proportion will be minimum to minimum. So at that time they need to think about those points in which they are able to satisfy each and every aspects in a proper manner. That they are adopting green governance, they are making profit, they are sharing their profit to their shareholders by way of dividend. So in the initial stage, it is really very difficult for the organization, that is to convey the point of green governance in the mind of shareholders, because in the initial stage no shareholders is willing to let go their dividend shares with the concept of green governance. So, in the initial stage, it is really very important to give a clear objectives or a clear explanation of green governance in the mind of our shareholders and stakeholders. Second one, that is disclosure and transparency. Yes, it is really very important, that is to maintain a transparency with the parties who are directly related with our organization, and it is required from the organization side, that is to disclose each and everything in a proper manner, so that if the disclosure is done with the rules and regulation, the automatically transparency can be achieved. Then after, third point, that is responsibility of boards. Yes, the ultimate responsibility is in the hand of our boards. That board is going to maintain the confidentiality and transparency of the information. They are the only member who decide to adopt the concept of green governance, and when the adoption of green governance is there, it needs to be disclosed to our stakeholders in a proper manner. So the responsibility of board is ultimate. Then after, the fourth one, that is function of the board. Yes, the board plays a very major role when they are thinking about the adoption of green governance. So, the functions of board is review of corporate strategy, giving strategy guidance, major plans of actions, adoption of risk policy, annual budgets, business plans, setting performance parameters, maintaining transparent board nomination process, monitoring potential conflict with different stakeholders, monitoring effectiveness of governance practices. So, the functions of boards are really very large in the number, and for that it is required that in the composition of board at least one women director must be there, and minimum 50% of board should be independent if chairman of the board is executive directors. So these are the basic criteria that our board must adopt at the time of composition of the members of the boards. Then after, fifth point, that is independent directors. Here there are many conditions that what will be the conditions to become the independent directors. It is not important that is to remember each and every conditions of director, but just have a look in 10 to 12 criterias of independent directors. The person who is at the age of 21 or more, the person must possess the integrity and relevant expertise in the board's view. The person is neither executive director nor a nominee director. Then the person is not related to any of relative to the promoters, directors of the company. The person who is not and was not a promoter of the company at any point of time. Then after, apart from receiving sitting fees or director's remuneration, he does not have or had any time any material practice or pecuniary relationship with the company. So if a person is able to satisfy the criteria, then and then a person is able to become an independent director. Then after, the sixth point is non-executive directors' compensation and disclosures. So any fees, compensation should be approved by board and have prior approval of the shareholders must be there. The seventh one, that is other provisions of committee and code of conducts. Board shall meet at least 4 times in a year with maximum gap between 2 meetings of 120 days. A director shall not be a member of more than 10 committees, and at the same time he cannot act as a chairman in more than 7 committees. Board should review compliance report prepared by company, including action taken on non-compliance if any. So these are the few provisions that the board must follow at the time of adopting the green governance. Then after, eighth point is audit committee. It is required to make an audit committee, and in the audit committee the person may invite the finance head or other executive, including internal and statutory auditors, to present in the meeting. Audit committee should have minimum 3 directors, with 2/3 of them independent chairmen should be independent directors and should present at the annual general meeting. So these committee play an active role at the time of adoption of green governance. Then after, the next clause is role of audit committee. The main function of audit committee, that is the recommending appointment, the remuneration, terms of appointment and approval of payment for any other services of statutory auditors. The audit committee is going to appoint the chief financial officer of the organization, or who is known as the finance head. The audit committee reviews with the management of annual along with audit report. So they are focusing on the auditing of books of accounts. The basic task of audit committee, that is to have a proper knowledge about or the adoption of audit concept in the organization in a proper manner. The 10th one is nomination and remuneration committee. Yes, here there are many committees who are going to work on the basis of their choice, on the basis of their agreements. So now nomination committee is working in the organization, that is for the nomination and deciding a proper remunerations of management as well as to the auditor. So this committee is going to make an appointment of directors, that is independent directors, non-executive directors, the chairperson, the managers, and also they are going to decide remunerations of that nominated persons. Then after 11th point is subsidiary company. Now in subsidiary company, at least one independent director of holding company should be on the board of material non-listed Indian subsidiary company. If the company has the subsidiary company, then they are going to work on the basis of this. The next one is about the risk management. As we already know that there are two types of risk, internal risk and external risk. The organization is able to control the internal risk, but it is really very difficult to control the external one. The next clause is about the related party transactions. Here, the related party is the person or is the organization with whom there is a material transactions with the company. So when the cash inflow, cash outflow is going to be there with the party, that party is known as related party. Now here there are few concepts of the transactions are given. That a transaction is considered material if a transaction to be entered together with previous similar transaction, if any, entered during the year exceed 10% of total turnover of the company as per consolidated audited financial of previous year. Means the party who had the material transaction with the company in the past, and if the same person is going to continue in this particular financial year, then the first priority is given to those party at the time of analysis of the related party transactions. The next one is other disclosures. That is, all related party transactions should be disclosed in compliance report on corporate governance, because these transactions are really very important for the organization at the time of adopting the concept of corporate governance, ethics and morals. Now, policy of related party transactions should be disclosed on website and link in audit report. So, each and everything must be in a clear manner, must be in the transparent manner. Then after, the next point is about shareholders. Yes, as we already know that shareholders are the real owner of the organization. They have the right to appoint and reappoint the auditor of the organization. So if the satisfaction of shareholders are there, then definitely they will continue with the company's management and no conflict between the shareholders and the management will be there. The next one, that is CEO and CFO certification, that is Chief Executive Officer and Chief Financial Officer. So it must be clear that there should certify to board that they have reviewed financial statement and they present true and fair view and not misleading. So our CEO, CFO, MD, they must be in a proper ethical way. They need to behave in a proper manner so that the fraud, mismatch, misconduct should not be there when the adoption of green governance will be there. And the last one, that is report on corporate governance. Yes, it is officially or it is compulsory for the organization, that is to prepare an official report on corporate governance. If the report is not prepared by the organization, at that time the company is not able to get the approval by their officials on the adoption of corporate governance. Means a proper audited report must be there on the green governance, on the corporate governance, when the implementation of the concept will be there. Now the last point of our unit is credit rating agencies. As we already know that the credit rating agencies are those agencies who gives the credit rating rates to the organization on the basis of their credit worthiness. If the company want to raise debt capital, borrowed capital in the market, at that time credit rating must be allocated or it must be there, and through this rate the company is able to raise their borrowed fund. So, if the credit worthiness of the company is sound, if the company is able to manage their cash inflow, their cash outflow, if they are able to manage their working capital, then definitely we can say that the rating agencies give a positive rate a good rate to the company. Now, it is already written that credit rating refers to the process in which different companies, financial institutions, or agencies are analyzed with financial instruments or financial entities. It is a rating given to a particular entity based in the financial entity, means on the basis of the financial performance, the rate is given to the organization. Yes, there are few advantages of credit ratings are given. The first one is benefits to the investors. Under that, the first one, that is helps in investment decision. Yes, with the help of credit rating rates, the investor can make a proper decision, that is about to continue with the particular organization for the investment purpose or not. Then after the second one, that is benefits of rating reviews. Yes, on the basis of that rating reviews, the investor comes to know about that if the rates are high, then the level of risk is minimum, and if the rates are low, then the level of risk is maximum. Then after third one, that is assurance of safety. Yes, if the highest rank is assigned to the credit rating agencies to the particular organization, means the safety level is really very high. When the risk is low, the safety is high, and when the risk is high, the safety is low. Then after the next one, that is easy understandability of investment proposal. Yes, the rates are really very easy. One can easily make a judgment on the basis of this kind of rates, and the investment proposal can be easily made with the help of these rates. The next one is choice instruments. Yes, with the help of this credit rating, a choice of instrument is available to our investors, because it is totally depends upon the risk and return criteria, that how they are going to choose the particular instrument on the basis of risk or on the basis of their return. And the last benefit is save investors time and efforts. Yes, with the help of credit rating, there are no further explanation is required, no further investigation is done, and with the help of this rate, investor can easily opt for the particular instrument in a proper manner. And then after, the benefits to the companies. Under that, the lower cost of borrowing. Definitely, the debt capital is really very cheap in the market, and when the capital is raised with the help of this debt capital, the cost of borrowing will be minimum to minimum. The next benefit is wider audience for borrowings. Yes, now the company is able to approach the maximum investors, because in the debt capital it is possible that they are able to get the wide audience, because many of the investors are the risk seeker. The next one is good for non-popular companies. Yes, the organization who is not popular in the capital market, so the rates are really very good for the company and they are able to get the maximum market coverage. Then after, act as a marketing tool. Yes, credit rating rates are act as a marketing tool. They are able to advertise themselves. So that's all for today's session. Here we are ending our last unit, that is ethics and corporate governance. Here the syllabus of auditing and corporate governance is completed. Now in the next session I am going to discuss the important questions of our subject, that is auditing and corporate governance. So thank you students, thank you so much.